Hello, ponies, and welcome to the stream. Well, again, I am on my own, I suppose, but well, here I am and ready to another challenge. So, yesterday we started flying helicopters. Today we're going to continue with the Gazelle. Thanks to, I do not remember your name, so I apologize if you're watching again. Challenging me to fly the Gazelle again, I'm going to try to do so. So, I've did some settings to the actual module itself. This is the Well, the Gazelle with a 20 mm cannon and rocket pods. Well, this is red team, but doesn't really matter. It's Russian team. I'm just simply adding all sorts of aircraft to this. So I also have a lot of other helicopters on this map, primarily red team, but I think you can add the American helicopters as well, just used by Russia. So I'm gonna start this up. I'm gonna try to set up some waypoints for the Nadir INS navigation system. I think it's an INS at least. And let's see what havoc we can wreak. There are some targets on the map, but I will not be using those. And of course, I'm as always taking requests from you guys if you want to see something specific. So without further ado, let's start the bird up. Okay, so we actually have a aiming reticle. So let's zoom here a bit. Yeah, she's not very difficult to start. So we have a battery, electrical power, alternator generator. Then we're gonna put on these switches for the fuel pump, and this usually takes a while, but it takes a few attempts, but usually works. Let's see. There we go. I do not know why it behaves like this, to be honest, but, well, it just does. Used to be noisier yesterday because I had the minigun Gazelle, and that's pretty noisy. I'm gonna unlock the rotor. I'm gonna wait for this to reach 2500 RPM. Gonna start advancing the actual throttle, and we have main rotor start. So the point is to keep these two these indicators here together. So it's 2000 RPM and it's going up. Going up. It's going to catch with this one at 3000. And I'm going to start pushing slowly on the actual, little by little, so well, the generator's on. Now let's put up all the good stuff, the trim. Now I don't know what's wrong with this ADI. Nothing's wrong with the ADI. I just had to center it. That's the light test. I'm going to set the navigation system to standby. I'm going to switch a little bit to this other side so I can set the other controls. This is the ADF. I will not be using any ADF, but then I'm going to take a look here, and I'm going to set on the optics. Standby. These are all undergoing built-in self-tests of bits. This is the armament panel. I don't know what this is, but okay, and I'm gonna go back to the pilot seat here, and I'm gonna try to see if I can turn on the chaff and flare dispensers. Finally, I'm gonna uncage this standby ADI. Now, like that. I'm gonna fire up the radar altimeter and set it to, this is in meters by the way, it's a European helicopter, to about 40 meters. Well, let's put it even lower. I mean, this should be able to fly quite well. Low. Okay, the SAS is on. Now we're gonna set this to BUT, basically BUT, which is waypoints. Gyros are on. Let's see if I remember how to use the nadir system. So this is our initial position. It's set to TER because we're actually taking off from the ground. And let's add some waypoints. Now, of course, this should have been prepared ahead. I just didn't. So, like I usually do, I don't prepare ahead. So, we're going to try to fly set waypoints as well. So, let's set one, I guess maybe here at the mouth of the river. And I'm going to change these coordinates. Now, I do not know why it's not working. It's usually Alt and X, but or Alt and Y. To change the coordinate types, because I don't really know how to convert them off the top of my head, so. Well, I guess we will make do without the waypoints. This is the electro-optical system. It needs time to warm up, if I recall right. So let's go back to the pilot seat and try to take off. We can also enter, I think, waypoints on the go. So this is no, it's not exactly a sextant. It's just a aiming reticle that I don't know how to use yet. So. It's fairly quiet because I've also turned off the sounds quite a bit. That's our VHF radio. And this is some other system that apparently is not implemented. It's a radio system apparently. This is the lighting panel, so we're not going to need lighting since it's daylight. It has a landing light, of course, like most helicopters. It can be put in and out. It's nothing really weird about it. But yeah, let's take off. Let's see if I remember. There was a sweet spot for this the cyclic, like about here ish. And let's pull up. This requires right pedal, like most European birds. It's gonna be light on the skids very soon. Okay, let's give it some right pedal. Okay. It's a very quirky helicopter. I just feel it's very unstable. I still have issues flying it. Okay, a bit better this time. Let's try to pull her up. The throttle is a bit, I don't know, I feel it's a bit weird. Maybe it needs some setup, so. I'm not sure how the real Gazelle works, but I've never been able to land this helicopter almost at all. Let's try to. Let's see what kind of havoc we can cause anyway. It just feels it's. Well, I don't know. The helicopter itself feels kind of weird. Feels a bit stiff. I'm actually using a Thrustmaster Warthog, but the responsiveness, forgive me, of the controls feels a little bit stiff. Like when turning, I need to move the stick quite a lot to the direction I want to move in, compared to helicopters like the Huey, where it requires very little movement to actually operate. I have the stabilization augmentation system on, obviously, but I just engaged the autopilot. As you can see, I need to move this stick a lot for this to respond, and I would like to make it the other way around, but I'm not sure exactly what the correct settings are for it. I usually expect helicopters to be very responsive. Say I would need to move the stick quite a bit to get it to turn, and then it just feels like a very weird turn. It's not like smooth like a Huey turns, for example, or an Mi-8. The Mi-8 actually is pretty nice. Well, the K50 is also nice. I mean, yesterday I had a really nice chat with a couple of guys. We were talking about the various helicopters available in DCS. Yeah, there is audio available, but I just okay. I've just simply reduced the volume a lot for the helicopter. Also, since the cockpit is closed, well, let's give it a bit more voice. Is this better? It's a closed cockpit, so it's a bit quiet. Also, my volume was very low because yesterday I had the open cockpit Gazelle, and that was very, very noisy. So, Pave Hawker, do you fly the Gazelle as well? Ah, okay. Well, that's understandable. The Gazelle is probably not the most forgiving helicopter. It's nice, but even I have trouble with it, and I'm not an expert by any means. But it's nice if you like a small scout helicopter. It has 4 versions, by the way, in the game available. You buy it once, you get all of them. So you have the Mistral, which is an air-to-air version. You have the M, which has the hot anti-tank missiles. This is the LM, which is cannons and missiles. Well, 1 cannon, 1 rocket launcher, and there's also the minigun version. Helicopter itself is pretty nice. It's just I think it still requires a lot of tweaks on the flight model. There was a quite extended discussion on this theme yesterday, but I mean, if you like the look of it, I would say usually just fly what you like. Just practice, 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 and fly what you like. I like helicopters in general. I fly all of them, but probably the Huey and the Ka-50 the most, even though I love the Mi-8. Mi-8 is a bit finicky when it comes to landings a bit. I feel it enters vortex ring state quite easily. Well, if you like helicopters, those are pretty good. I would agree. So if you want to go for the Nevada Test and Training Range and Huey, those are good. The Huey will really teach you how to fly a helicopter because it's a more or less a very classic helicopter. It has no stabilization system like the Gazelle or the Mi-8. I mean, the Mi-8 has a stabilization system. It's not stellar, but it helps. The Ka-50 is a coaxial, so it flies a bit differently. Well, we probably all would love to see a Pavehawk, but one day, maybe when we have submarines, so we can actually have it drop sonar buoys or drop torpedoes. Wouldn't that be nice? Or even drop troops. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's. I'm not really that familiar with the capabilities of the Pavehawk, to be honest. I know it's based on the UH-60 Blackhawk, but and it's quite shaky at um, low speed. This is a very unstable helicopter when you fly low and slow. Oh, I see. Well, no wonder you like them. I'm pretty sure they're quite good. I'm a European myself, so well. I mean, I know about them. I like them, but again, not very familiar with them. I think the closest thing you get right now to them is a Huey, and that's actually a pretty decent module to have. I like it. I actually fly the Huey a lot. My previous stream, actually, I flew a Huey for about, I guess, about 120-ish nautical miles. It started that way. I was too tired the previous night, so I just set it down and continued the flight from somewhere else, like from where I left it, pretty much. The Huey is nice to fly. It's the UH-1H version, so I guess if you're familiar with helicopters, it's basically the one that was in Vietnam. It's very good for just about anything. It's a utility helicopter, like the name implies. I mean, I enjoy even the Huey even as a gunship. It's pretty decent. But I fear we might see stuff like the regular Black Hawk before the Payhawk in DCS. But since there's a sale right now, they have the Easter sale in DCS. If you want to get yourself now two modules, I think the Huey and the NTTR are awesome. The Caucasus map, which is the one I usually use, is also nice. I have all the maps, but I do like this one quite a bit. It's very well green. The Persian Gulf is a desert. Well, the NTTR is very nice as well. It's nice to fly around Las Vegas and go see places and. All right. Oh, thank you for the follow. But yeah, and of course I'm happy to have people join me on my stream and we can do some helicopter formation flying. Yeah, 50% is low. I mean, they do have these on Easter or usually on the major holidays. They do have this kind of sale. We do have other helicopters coming as well. If you like helicopters, they have the H1W Super Cobra, so the whiskey version. All right. Well, thank you for the follow. And we also have the Mi-24 and a few other birds. I'm not entirely sure actually, but I think there have been lower sales before. I don't remember, so I don't really want to give you false information. Whoa, okay, this is a very quirky helicopter. Okay, let's just set her down for a bit. But yeah, I guess it can happen. I'm not entirely sure. Again, don't want to give you false information. I'm not Eagle Dynamics. Ah, well, good to know. I mean, this will probably be a good thing to know about the for the fans that actually want to get something for DCS. So, Binary Badger, do you like helicopters or do you prefer fixed wing? I do both, to be honest, but well, Pavehawker, this is your chance. There's the sale. If you don't want to get a map, you of course can just get one module and fly it around the Caucasus map. I mean, Caucasus has pretty beautiful scenery, and it has. If you want to fly on ships, you also have the Black Sea. You can plant always a few ships on the water and just take off, do land search and rescue or whatever you want to do with them. So just take it easy. You don't have to just jump into everything. I think they're all good. Elite Dangerous. Well, that's one game I have. I don't really play that much. But yeah, I would say definitely grab anything you like on sale. I mean, the newer modules will not be on sale like the F14, but well, I mean, oh, Pavehawker, I guess you can still do that with the Huey, but ah, well, I mean, there are many choices on the market. If you want something really good, of course, there's the Thrustmaster Warthog, which is, let's say, la creme de la creme. There are others also as well, like Virpil produce some pretty nice sticks as to others, but yeah, just go for Huey and Nellis. I think it's a very good choice. Yeah, definitely safe for the Warthog. Also, might I suggest a set of rudder pedals? I do have some Thrustmaster rudder pedals. I mean, they're the kind of low entry ones, but they are pretty good. I mean, I can fly a helicopter, so I'm happy, I suppose. Right? That's why I bought them for helicopters primarily. And fixed wing, if you like stuff like Warbirds, for example, those use the rudder a lot. Yeah, yeah, they are. I mean, the Virpil stuff is usually they look like Russian controls for the most part. So if you fly, for example, the Su-27 or 33, or I think even MiG-29 has very similar controls. Sadly, those modules don't really have a full clickable cockpit. They're not like the other ones. Well, I mean, VKB, go for it. Whatever you prefer. There are plenty of choices in the market. Ah, I'm not really familiar with them. I just bought the Thrustmaster Warthog because everybody recommended it, so I just went for what people said it's good. Just use what you like. So this is not about what I have and what I have is the best. Just to you use what you prefer. Well, yeah, just use what you have exactly. I mean, yeah, based on what you've seen so far, so what do you think about the Gazelle model? I do, yes. As you can see, I can I have a track IR5. I know it's ancient, but I didn't really want to invest in. Nah, it's not a limiting issue with any helicopter, I think. Well, maybe the ones that have wheels might consider that a limiting issue. I need to go low here because there are some Bradley infantry fighting vehicles there that I might just decide to shoot me down. Ah, okay, okay. Yes, I do have track IR5. It's okay. I like it. I didn't really have the money, so I just went cheap at the moment. I could have bought a VR, but I've tried it, and track IR doesn't give me a headache. I can turn my head. I can achieve pretty much the same results with track IR that I need to achieve. So yeah, let's not get caught in the electrical wires. Again, I'm not basically now destroying any targets unless people really want me to, but I'm not familiar with the Gazelle LM's weapon systems that well. So, and of course, if you guys have requests, I can show you other helicopters as well. This is not just for the Gazelle. It started out that way, but of course, things can change. Oh, I did not know that. No, that's also a choice if that is what you want. I really need to fix the settings on this joystick, so I mean not calibration, but for the helicopter, they feel a bit odd. Well, of course, I mean I would do the same thing. I've never really tried any night missions in DCS. Yeah, sure. Let me just set this down somewhere. I usually don't like leaving the helicopters in midair, and I will have to change mission. But I think if it's fine with you, I can show you the Huey. Actually, that's the one I usually fly the most. Yeah, I'm just gonna set her down here in this grass field. Well, you will get some of the modules faster on the non-Steam. I used to be on the Steam version, but then I switched to Steam. To non. I used to be to Steam, but I switched to the. Well, I used to be mostly fixed wing, and for fixed wing, I usually fly stuff like the Harrier, which is well, to me, it's a lot like a helicopter in many ways. Of course, it's not a helicopter, obviously. Well, I'm not sure, but I would, if you want to get started, I would definitely say get down with non Steam version. It's better. Yeah, I'm going down a bit too fast. Okay, let's slow her down. Okay, now I'm setting it down. Okay, and let's switch to Huey. Okay, let me just see if I have a Huey on this map. I might not have a Huey on this map. I do not. Let me just quickly switch. I actually have a mission fully dedicated to helicopters training, so okay, let me just quickly go back. I was in the mission editor, but that's fine. Let's exit the mission editor. And well, the Argo campaign for the Huey, if you want, that's actually nice. And there's also the UN pilot for Huey, which is actually a very good campaign. The software experiences from non-Steam. Well, first of all, I think the non-Steam stuff gets updated faster, if I remember right. So don't have to take my word for it, but if I remember, that's the case. Yeah, this is going to take a while to load. I don't have an SSD for DCS because I actually use a pretty high-end gaming laptop, but it came only with a smaller SSD for which I use for the operating system and hard drive, which hosts most of the games. I do have the A10, yes, of course. It's the A10C is probably the most complete module so far, but the second most complete, I would argue, is the Tomcat. Heatblur have put a lot of work into it. I do like naval aircraft as well, but I'm quite partial to helicopters also. The Huey is more or less done. I'm not sure if they're going to get any updates for it. The Mi-8 is more or less done. They're both made by Bell Simtech, by the way. The KA-50, yeah, the KA-50 is also a very complete module. I mean, well, now it has some issues with some of the texturing in the cockpit, but I mean, it's flyable. It's obviously very, very, very flyable. Just some of the lighting, for example, it has some of the switches in the KA-50 are toggle switches, so they're a bit like when they're set on, the light is not appropriately visible, and the autopilot switches have some sort of issues. Let's just take off. Let's just grab this U81H here. Huey is pretty good at sling loading also. This is, well, I just left it in the middle of nowhere. Let's wait for it to load. By the way, no, you need to buy the campaign separately, I think. By the way, this thing you see here is just for controls reference. I don't use it anymore. Yeah, you can take soldiers from the ground in the Huey. Yeah, I've done it also in the Mi-8. So you just go, you land next to them, and you have the option to order airborne troops to board a helicopter. Then you land somewhere else, and then you just tell them to get out. Let's close the door. I'll give you an outside view. So I don't know what unit this is part of. This is just, I guess, the default skin for the US Army Huey. It has those swords and the shield with the horse's head, but I don't know which squadron this is. It's just a Huey squadron to me. So the car noises you hear in the background are just civilian traffic. No. In the Huey, no. The Gazelle can do it, but sadly the Huey does not have multi-crew ability. I'm just gonna hide the pilot because I'd like to have a proper look at all the controls. And I can, of course, on this I can actually zoom in and out. Yeah, the SSD just changes things. I would actually love to have the Huey with multi-crew, but you can switch between positions like this. I don't have the gunner positions at the moment, so I cannot switch to them. And you have different weapon options for the Huey. I can actually show you ground crew, rearmor refuel. There's no ground crew here, but so in stations 1 and 2, you can take some pods, but apparently no. You can take rockets, but there's no ground crew, so I will not be doing anything. I cannot equip any sort of loadout. And you have all sorts of mm, skins for it, and there are more available online. But yeah, this is just very basic Huey. So let's just see if I do remember how to start this up since I fly it quite a lot. Yeah, okay. Now I'll set this to loop for now. The ADF works. I'm gonna set on the hydraulics. Okay. Ah, I see. Okay, I didn't notice. And let's start her up. The Huey is very straightforward to start. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I just need to. I wasn't paying attention to the throttle. Give me a second. Yes, it does. This is a problem I have with the Huey. Sometimes when you're not paying attention to the opening the throttle correctly, it won't exactly work. Let me just fly again. I don't know why it does this. And there's the exhaust temperature. Okay, it's powering up now. Okay, now I can let go of the starter. And yeah, it shakes a lot. I mean, I don't know if the real one does the same thing, but Yeah. I mean, the A10 easily refuels with the KC-135, and as do the others. There are the options to refuel uh, from a KC-135 with the baskets. Okay, let me just synchronize the compass. It's on about 220, so let's set it to the right. Yeah, that's more or less 220. Okay, altimeter is, I think, 2992 here, so let's set it to that. I'll just zoom in a bit, because I don't really see, my eyesight has gotten quite bad. Let's set the air pressure. By the way, one thing I do find quite atrocious is the ATC system in DCS. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I really wish they would improve that. Okay, now we have set the altimeter. Now this is the one thing that I've never really learned to extinguish. No worries, I mean, I was a noob once, and I'm not an expert myself now, but I'm always happy to help. Let's set the radar altimeter as well. And this is one master caution I do not know how to turn off. I've never really known how to turn this off. So, I mean, I don't know, how familiar are you guys with the Hue? I guess, Pavehawker, you're quite familiar, right? But yeah, Badger, if you're also interested in a helicopter, I would warmly recommend the Huey. It's a great machine to learn on. And there you have it. Well, this is just set for the UK, but doesn't really matter, it's just a Huey, so... Yeah, I didn't really go through the tests. I should have, but I didn't. I just wanted to get it started up. But yeah, I can fly around a bit. Do you want me to do anything specific with the Huey? I'm not gonna put on the lights because it has an issue with the lighting system, the external lights, that is. Okay, I'm also gonna put on the anti-icing system. Only the engine works, and these... there are no hostile targets on this map. Alright, well... there's a FARP nearby. I can fly there if you want to. If you're curious. I have flares, yes. Well, let's see. What did I configure to jettison the flares? I don't remember. Flare dispense button. Okay, let me just quickly map this. This is very easy to set. I only have flares, and that's about it. I could have it loaded, of course, but... And you can see here I have the airborne troops option. If I had soldiers nearby, they could embark on the helicopter, and I could just drop them off somewhere. The Huey has the option for sling loading. This is something I really need to practice. I'm not very good at it, but it's one other thing you can do with the Huey. So I can go for rearm and refuel. And see, since I'm on an airport now, I actually have all the options for a Huey. So I can put here miniguns or M60s. Yeah, sling loading. You can pick up cargo on basically a sling that hangs under the helicopter, and you can transport crates or all sorts of equipment around. So you could have, for example, a crate of equipment, some guys inside. You hover, you drop the equipment, then you drop the guys off, After that, and then they can pick up the crate. Well, in real life it would be that way. They can pick the equipment from the crate, and yeah. Now let's. I'm gonna show you the miniguns as well. So I'm gonna install a couple of miniguns.
Request rearming.
And now the guys in the ground crew will just show up and, well, it's not animated, but no. It's called sling loading, but not throwing. No. And now if you go back inside and I look back, see? That's one guy there, the other should come here also. See? Now I have two guys. And I can do Alt 3 and Alt 4 to open the doors.
Rearming complete.
Well, yeah, I need to wait for the rearming to be... And the gunners can grab the guns and use them. Alright, I'm gonna close the doors, it's a bit noisy. Whoops, not my best takeoff, but I'll just do a hover taxi. And oops, going a bit too fast. We're about, I guess, 1 or 2 feet off the ground. I'm not gonna use the ATC system. ATC system, it's quite bad, as I said. It's one of the things I like least about DCS, but otherwise I think it's a very good simulator. Okay, let's... So at least now, if you guys decide to get a helicopter and get a Huey, you'll know what you're getting into. There's no stabilization augmentation system. It's pretty much very hands-on helicopter. It's literally a pilot's helicopter. Yes, there is actually a piece of software called LOT ATC, which allows you to function as an air traffic controller or ground control interception operator. And there's also one other piece of software called Simple Radio, which allows you to actually emulate and use the in-game radios as if using like the real deal. You connect to a server and people can switch frequencies and, you know, the usual stuff. Normally I'd be checking for traffic, but there's no traffic here. Okay, let's go to the runway. And I'm gonna do a rolling takeoff with the Huey, so... The sun is a bit strong, but I don't think that's an issue. Okay, let's try to keep her steady for now. Okay. And about 30 knots, I think I'm gonna... Yeah, it's accelerating. Well, I'm a bit low, but I think I can already start pulling up on the collective. But yeah, you can have a guy basically performing ATC functionality. Well, the Huey, of course, has a trim like most helicopters do, so I'm just simply not using it. I enjoy more hands-on experience for the helicopter. It's a bit tiring, but good exercise too. I'm just kidding. It's not really exercise, but and if I switch positions to a gunner, the and I fly alone, DCS will just basically allow the helicopter to fly on its own. Well, I can actually as you can see, the gun works quite well. Then I can switch to the other door. I haven't tried. Normally, I think it does have some sort of rate of fire settings. I mean, in the real helicopter. I have never been in one, so I could not say. Nor have I read much about the actual miniguns. I think, what were they, M60s or something like that? Or M114. I think there is a way to change the burst length. I have on the right side a crew status little window that says basically your current settings, and oh, okay. Well, that's a new lesson for me. I learned a new thing today. I didn't know how the gun works. I think there's a way to set it, so let's... Well, I'm not gonna try to set it now, but I think it should be in the Huey configuration options to keybind it and... No, I have not. I haven't really been paying attention to space flight sims lately. Wow, that's pretty amazing. 6,000 rounds a minute. Ah, it's terrestrial. No, I've never heard about it. I thought it was space-based. Usually most uh, sci-fi sims are space-based. As far as I recall. Yes, 50 cals and minis. And also the rockets. I think they have 7 rockets per pod. If I do recall right, the name of the rocket pod was XM something something. Forgive my ignorance. I don't really remember much of the weapons on the Huey. For me, the Huey is more of a... I use it a lot in its utility role in this years. For example, picking up stuff and delivering it, and... Oh, not too bad. Maybe I'll look at it. I'm not too much of a big fan of early access games. Oh, nice. Yeah, that sounds like me. I'm pretty much a Care Bear, so if I flew, let's say, a combat helicopter, I'd probably not fly an attack helicopter, but more like a search and rescue or something like that. Ah, I'll keep it in mind. Ah, okay. Yeah, but this Huey also has the rocket pods. I mean, it's an army version. I don't know to what extent has the US Air Force used the Hueys, but probably they have. Yeah, they're pretty efficient actually. Yeah, you don't have many rockets. You can see I have a gun sight up there. I just haven't turned it on. And you can have, for example, forward-pointing miniguns or door miniguns and so on. Okay. Now that FARP is somewhere around here, I just need to remember where it was. I usually fly closer to the coast on this map, so I'm more familiar with that area, but I've flown here quite a bit as well. Helicopters I usually fly here. Let's see, where's that little fort? It's pretty close to this wooded area. Okay, I was not aware of that. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, it's based on an Augusta Westland helicopter, if I remember right. My home country uses those also. If I remember right. Well, the Finnish Air Force, yes, I'm from Finland, is a very convoluted thing right now because they're looking to replace the Hornets, and there's a lot of debate on what replacement they should use. But again, the Finnish Air Force is mostly used for defensive roles. It's not there to, go places and get things done. It's mostly for national defense. Yeah, where's that fort? Seriously. Ah, it's behind me. Okay. Yeah. Right. We are not part of NATO, actually. Due to political reasons, we are not part of NATO. Also, we do have over 1,000 kilometers of border with Russia, so yeah, maybe not the best idea. Yeah, yeah. No, we're not. We're we're a lot like Sweden. We're basically neutral. In case of anything happens, we're a neutral country. Alright, right, no worries, man. I'll be here. Just feel free to do whatever you need to do. I'm just doing this for other people's entertainment as well. So as long as people enjoy the content, I'm happy. And even more if I'm able to make you guys make a choice in what modules to buy, or if you just want to chat about aviation, I'm happy with that also. I was actually thinking when the new modules come out, new helicopter studies. Yeah. Again, Pave Hawker, I would suggest going for the direct. I use direct and I'm happy with it. But again, it's your personal choice. I'm simply trying to state my opinion about it. But as I was saying, I'm going to see if I can handle the other helicopter modules when they come out and review them. I haven't heard anything like that. Again, I live in Europe, so I'm a bit out of the loop with what happens. At least in the US, I haven't heard about replacements. And I mean, the Black Hawk isn't the Black Hawk pretty good still? I mean, it's an old helicopter, sure, but I think it's very decent. For me, I mean, I've been following, of course, the U.S. military for years, and I'm so used to knowing that hey, they actually operate the Black Hawk, and it's gonna be weird to see different helicopters. I guess I'm a bit of an old classic Scrooge about things. I'm a bit. I'm not that I'm resistant to change. Of course, it's not my country's military, but it's just you grow up seeing all that stuff in movies and on TV, and I've been into aviation since I was a child. For me, I've always been into U.S. military, following what they're doing, and the newest stuff. But I wasn't aware about the Black Hawk's replacement. I could always swear that Sikorsky is gonna crop up some new bird and or just upgrade the Black Hawk to new and awesome levels. Well, that sounds pretty fast. I'll have to look them up. By the way, what do you guys think about the coaxial design? Coaxial rotors. And that's our FARP there. I don't know. I'm more of an advocate of the tilt rotor, but that's just me. I'm quite a big fan of the V22, so. Yeah, the KA50s are pretty nasty pieces of machinery, right? Oh, okay. Well, I'll need to read about these things. Well, I guess that's as a good choice as any. I wouldn't know what to say. I actually haven't flown any of those, so my opinion here is of little value. So I mean, I don't know, but I think the Osprey is a pretty good idea. Well, I grew up as a military brat, not Air Force though. Oop, almost VRS over there. Luckily I saw it on time. Ah, what's with me and going down too fast? I usually don't do this, but... Okay, come on. Come on, birdie. I'm gonna put on some left pedal here. Well, I'm not that great, but I didn't get started too long ago, a few months ago, but I didn't stream for a while because I had some stuff to do, so... Thank you for the appreciation. I'm glad you enjoy the content I'm putting here. I mean, I try to keep it easygoing, I mean, the stream, and not go too overly technical, and keep it also a bit entertaining, so... That there's just a static Mi-8, it's just... It lives there, but it doesn't really do anything. Everything here is basically blue team, that's British civilian Mi-8. But yeah, not sure if, like, let's say fame or many followers is what I'm after. I'm more after about creating informative stuff for people. I'm pretty much an information sponge myself, so if I can help people learn something new or discover something that they didn't know they liked, well, I'm happy to do that as well. I'll endeavor to bring more helicopters then. I do have the Gazelle and the Mi-8 here as well. I can show you the Mi-8 if you're curious about it. That's a big, tough bird to fly. It's a really large helicopter, so I mean, if you're curious, that's it. Well, to talk about a Gazelle stream, turns out it became a all-out helicopter stream, but that's fine, I suppose, since people don't seem to be minding. Well, the Mi-8 is. I'll just give you a little tour of it. Okay, well, out of curiosity, I mean, you've seen the Huey and what I've shown you, but it's a very complete helicopter, and I feel it's a very nice bird to fly. So let's pick up one of these Mi-8s. I have one here at the FARP, so I'll just switch to it. Let's wait for it to load. Yeah, so this is a completely different beast. And that Huey now, I don't know what it's going to do. Since I left it there, I think it's just gonna, yeah, it's gonna fly back to base. Yeah, the Huey will fly itself back to base. So, the Mi-8. Well, this is pretty much the beast, the largest helicopter available in DCS at the moment. It's a twin engine, of course, turbine powered helicopter, and it has 3 crew members, can have up to 5 or 6. I could, but the Mi-8 is very low in acceleration. I mean, it's very large, and I can probably catch it, but the startup sequence is quite long in the Mi-8. But I'll show you how it goes. So here I don't have any other positions. I have just the pilot, co-pilot and navigator, flight engineer. I don't have any sort of weaponry. There's no ground crew at the FARP, so. But you can, for example, choose to have some guns on it. Well, let's just change the colors for it.
Request rearming.
So yeah, I just made it into a US Army medevac, but yeah, there's no ground crew to come and reinstall the new weapons. So the way this works, I don't have any external store racks. This can carry rocket pods, 30mm grenade launchers, I think they're 30mm or 23mm grenade launchers, automatic grenade launchers, and machine guns, 12.7mm machine guns. So the way it works, here it has the electrical panel. This controls the weapons, but since we have no weapons, I will not put these on. And before I even put on the batteries, I'm going to just put on these circuit breakers. Not fuses, I sometimes call them fuses. Yeah, I just put in the English because it's easier for people to understand at least what's going on. So here you have the continuation of the electrical power, so DC power, you just put on batteries 1 and 2. And these to auto. Then I'm gonna put on the fire protection system. I'm gonna zoom in so you can actually see. It's very easy to see what it's going on. You lift these fire caps for the fuel shutoff valves and put them on, and you can hear the valves going on. I'm gonna go quickly to the pilot section, pilot seat, and I'm gonna remove the rotor brake and back to the flight engineer. And here this has an APU. So basically, I don't know if the Payfog runs with an APU, but yeah, it would be, I suppose. So we need to start up the APU. Okay, it does. See, so it's not that different. So we put on the APU. This is pretty much the APU, EGT, and pressure. So this is going on. And I'm gonna connect the standby generator. Here we actually have a voltmeter. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put on the fuel pumps for the engines. Gonna go for the left engine first. Gonna crank the start. These are the fuel shutoff valves with these cables here. Basically, fuel shutoff for the engine. The valves are here. Apologies. And I'm just gonna push the start button. The green light comes on. The engine RPM is here. So 20% almost. And I'm gonna put one engine. I'm not sure. I have never tried it. I don't think so. It would be nice if it did, because it would be very great, at least for me personally, to do all sorts of training. So of course here it has a lot, the hydraulic system. This is always left on. You don't really turn it off. Combustion heater, anti-icing. Sorry, my mouse is being a retard. Apologize for the language. Here's the weapons control panel. Here you actually have the instrument switches for pilot and co-pilot. Here are a lot of lighting and switching systems. And here we have more electrical panels. Here we have an ADF. It has two ADF systems. One called the ARC-9. And there was one other that's used for search and rescue. It has up to 6 channels, and you can, if you know what channel the person you're going to rescue is emitting from, you can use the ADF to find them. This is the ARC-UD. This is the one used for actual search and rescue. This comes also with a radar Doppler navigation system. It's very primitive, but it actually works. I'm just going to close the window. This is a very noisy bird. I'm going to wait for the engine to power up, and fuel shutoff lever on. Wait. And okay, I'm gonna stop and start it again. It's a twin engine, so yeah. And now it has the fuel flow on, so the engine should start. What I'm looking at is here. Now, what's your problem, buddy? You've never done this before. Okay, let's fuel shut off and stop. Haven't encountered this issue before. I mean, it's not an issue in the helicopter itself. Must be just a mistake I made. I usually am able to start this with no problems, but it's on APU, so we won't really run out of power, but yeah, the Mi-8 is an airliner. The Huey is, well, let's call it a business jet. Let's just do it like that. And the Gazelle is an aerobatics plane, and the Ka-50 is something else entirely. I don't understand. Why isn't this getting past 20% RPM? It has fuel, it has everything it needs, but it's just not wanting to start. Well, let's just try this again, but yeah, I mean, it's not cheap. It's not a cheap thing. DCS is not cheap. But if you just, you want to fly something specific, then I would say just buy the thing you want to fly. Don't be like me. I'm a real hoarder of modules, and fly that. You'll be happier for it. Yeah, do be careful with that. Be very careful with that. I mean, I wouldn't want you to get in trouble just for DCS. It's a very good simulator, but it's still a game after all. And taking care of yourself is more important than a game. And this won't really go anywhere. DCS is here to stay, so. Alright, good luck. And remember, if you want to fly, I mean, I'm happy to have you on my stream as a guest. If you use Discord, I'm happy to communicate with you. I mean, I'm sure you can, share about your experience to everybody else since you've actually worked with military helicopters. I have never done it. I can confess that I'm actually just an IT engineer that loves planes and helicopters a bit too much. Just waiting for the second engine to spool up. Then I'm going to pull up the throttles, connect the generators, and disconnect the APU. This is where I left it last time, so okay, engine is up. Alright. Yeah, and here's the beast from an outside view. One thing with the Mi-8, of course, you got the Huey, but one issue it has, it enters VRS very easily, so you need to be extremely careful with flying it. Okay, this is already set, 760 millimeters of mercury, radar altimeter on, stabilization augmentation on. Yeah. Here you have the taxi and landing lights. And the radar altimeter is doing a bit, and I'm just gonna set it to 0 to make the noise go away, and then I'm gonna set it to, let's say I'm gonna set it to about 30 meters, which is right here. This is just a very basic HSI, you can use the ADF with it. And the Copilot has a bit more because it has the Doppler navigation system here. The Gazelle does. If you ever consider fixed wing, the L-39 and the Tomcat are also multi-crew, but yeah, I really hope that they add multi-crew for the Mi-8 and the Huey as well, because I mean these helicopters are made for multiple people to operate them, not just one that switches between positions. So with the Mi-8, the takeoff is a bit finicky because you need to find the right position for the cyclic, and it requires right pedal because it's a European helicopter. So I need to make it very gently pulling up. I'm gonna go for a vertical takeoff. Normally I would just go for a rolling takeoff, but okay, it's good. Well, it rolled a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it's opposite. And as you can see, it accelerates quite fast. Now at least. But usually it's a bit sluggish. That's the radar altimeter warning. I'll just pull up a bit on the collective, so. But it's a very big bird. It's an insanely large helicopter. Yep, that's true. One thing about the Mi-8, I've never tried it, but I've seen some people demonstrate auto-rotation. Due to the immense size of the rotor, it's actually very easy to land with auto-rotation. Or so people say. I'm not brave enough yet to try auto-rotation with it. But yeah, it's flying. It's not a horrible helicopter. It just requires very gentle movements because it's very prone to VRS. It's not very nice at low speed. So I'm trying to slow down here a bit and land in the field ahead. But the VRS is highly likely. And requires requires a gentle touch. I call the Mi-8 Natasha, and I say she has a big fat butt, but well, that's just my joke about the Mi-8. I actually like it. It's very good at sling loading also, and of course the cargo capacity is much higher. And it's a pretty decent gunship as well. Okay. The approach requires a bit more planning with the Mi-8 than the Huey or Gazelle. I'm gonna show you the coaxial as well, since I'm feeling in a very chatty mood tonight. If you guys have time or willingness to hear me banter, I can show you the KA-50. The large indicator, by the way, on top of the VSI is the it's radar based, and it allows you to hover on a fixed point. So it's a drift indicator. Trying to correct the drift a little bit, and oh yeah, I got it in a let's say fairly stable hover. And slowly landing, but you need to kind of keep it moving to not allow the column of air to allow it to enter VRS, because if it enters VRS, it's bad. It's a big helicopter, it'll go down like a rock. It's easy to recover with it from VRS at higher altitudes, but if you get to VRS here, you're pretty much, well, I'm pretty much fixed point hovering, and just going down at about, that's 20 meters. and just keeping an eye on it. And there we go. That was actually one of my better landings in the Mi-8. But well, now you've gotten an idea what the Mi-8 is like. It's a big fat bird. It's a very big fat bird. But it's quite nice. The landing gear is actually very rugged, and it's a very sturdy helicopter, as I see it. But yeah, let's go for the black shark. Now I don't have the black shark on this specific map, though, but I do have a map that actually has the black shark. So it's called, surprise surprise, K50 training. We've been to this map previously, so we're going to try to use it from here. So let's pick these K50s. Well, they need to fix the carrier so you can actually use these appropriate parking positions for helicopters, but this is what it is. I'm also gonna put some weapons on it for. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Ka-50, but it can actually carry bombs on the outer pylons, fuel tanks, missiles, where you can carry the laser-guided KH-25ML, which is also carried by the Su-24 and the Su-25, and of course the Vickers, which are actually shared with the Su-25. These are gun pods, and also of course you can carry all sorts of rocket pods, including the S-13 rockets. And well, I think we're gonna take the Vickers, which are, if I remember right, are very similar to the Hellfire missiles. And I will just let me finish with this. Fuel tanks, pods. Okay, we could take some of these missiles. Apologies, rocket pods. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, let's keep the standard army scheme. And let's go back in the cockpit. I'm gonna close the door. So, well, compared to the other helicopters, this is completely different. As you can see, it's more or less, looks more like a jet fighter than an actual helicopter. I mean, a lot of this equipment is very similar to many Russian jet fighters. At least, I mean, these are pretty standard Russian instruments. Here you have the Abris, which is your GPS. This is an inertial navigation unit, so it has an INS, but they are not coupled. Unlike maybe some American helicopters that might have the same idea, the GPS and INS are not coupled here. And the INU works a little bit differently. You don't need to manually align it, but you still need to enter endpoints. I will add you both guys to my own Discord as well. So the startup procedure on this, it's not very complicated. So here you have the batteries. This is the electrical panel for it. Let me just to set this a little bit better. So you have the battery 1, battery 2. You put them on. You need the fuel pumps. I don't have external tanks, so I'm just going to take forward and aft fuel pumps. Fuel quantity. These are for external tanks. Then I open these for the engines. But before I even start the engines, I'll arm the ejection system. First the APU, then the engines. And here we have the engine panel. So I'm just going to push. This is now set to APU, the middle position. And now you can hear the APU starting. This is the actual APU indicator. It's pretty much the same one as the MI8, but it's just put there. I do not know why, but that's what it is. I'm going to remove the rotor brake. These are the fuel cutoff engines. The throttles are actually here. So I'm going to go for the left engine first. And now I would normally put the navigation lights. And start button. The engine RPM is here. It's very similar to the MI8. And I'm gonna put the fuel flow on. And the engine is stabilized. Switching to right engine. RPM going up. And fuel shot of levers forward. Gonna turn on the communications radios as well. And all the radios. Waiting for the engine to power up. Gonna power up the abris. And I'm gonna pull the throttle to full power. And I'm gonna plug in the generators and the engine electronic governors here. Now they're on. I'm gonna activate the IFF system. Yes, it's a helicopter with IFF. Navigation system on. Weapon systems power on. I'm gonna set this back to the middle position. And I'm gonna shut off the APU. Gonna cut off the fuel to the APU as well. Engine fuel cover on. Autopilot system set. So a bit of explanation on how this works. I'm going to activate the INU as well, set it to on. Data link set to commander, and this to operate. This activates the Cheval targeting system, and that's my radar altimeter. I will need to set it to well, that looks about right. I have to wait for the HUD to actually get warmed up, and I'm gonna turn on the standby attitude indicator, which is located here. So a bit about the cockpit. Well, now you've seen what it does. The ABRIS itself is actually quite complex. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So what it does, it's more or less a satellite navigation system. You have altimeter and GNSS, which is a GLONASS, but you can't tune it to use GPS as well. I don't know if you can do it in DCS, but in real life you can. You can automatically create flight plans. So based on what you do, you can even automatically draw and enter waypoints. I will activate the flight plan. This is already entered. It's pre-entered in the helicopter's memory. The INU, you can set all sorts of waypoints with it. And the autopilot has 4 modes, well 5. Bank hold, pitch hold, heading hold, altitude hold. You can set either barometric or radar altitude, desired track, desired heading, and then there's the flight director when you need to temporarily disconnect the autopilot. It's not disconnected, but it just dampens your actual movements. So inputs, but you can actually navigate a lot easier. And for takeoff, it's very easy. I need to put the stick forward a bit because it has a small tendency of going backwards. If we look at the controls position, right here, the brakes are set and this is set here. So it's going to go a bit backwards. Now I'm going to remove the parking brakes, push the stick a tiny bit forward, and go up. Maybe the stick a bit forward more. Okay, that's a bit too much. It's a very stable helicopter. The ship is moving forward about 30 knots, so I'm just simply, no, actually about 17 kilometers an hour. The ship is not very fast, but I'll just go up, move sideways from the deck. Gonna center it up and turn it around. And I can actually follow the flight plan on the map or just allow the autopilot to fly me to the target. And now I can enter, I can remove heading hold and activate the autopilot. Trimming this helicopter is actually quite interesting because you need to press and hold the trim button and then it will just hold whatever setting you put on, and it will just carry on flying. And I had forgotten about the landing gear, but I guess that's fine. And I just need to remember what do I do to do. But yeah, this is the KA50. I know it's probably not as basic as the other ones. It's a bit more, a lot more magic under the hood in the KA50. And what do you think, Super Goats? Did you like it? Did you enjoy the Black Shark? Yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, obviously. Well, it's made to reduce the workload anyway, so. Well, I mean, obviously it's easy to kill stuff with. It's an attack helicopter. What do you expect? Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. Oh, the vegan. The vegan is definitely interesting. It's actually, I know it's a very strange plane for many people, but I like it a lot. I'm a ground pounder by heart. I don't really like air to air that much. Hence why I fly helicopters, Harriers, Vigans, and sometimes the Hornet in multi-role mode, and on occasion the Tomcat. But well, probably not today because it's 1 a.m. here already. But if you want, I could do a stream for the hog, and I can show you some things about it. I mean, again, not an expert. I learn a lot by doing. I'm a very practical, hands-on learner. So if I jump in a plane, I would rather watch a video or read a quick checklist and find my way around the cockpit. Same for helicopters, rather than read a thick 1,000-page manual. But that's just how I do it. Hands-on, in my opinion, is the best way to learn something. Sure, it's good to have the books. I like the books, but I don't know. So, Badger, what do you think about the KA-50 so far? I'm literally flying. I'm not even flying. It's the computer flying. Yeah, you just need to get used to it. But if you really want to fly helicopters, go for something like the Huey, the Mi-8, or the Gazelle. Those are actual helicopters. you know, the helicopters we see everywhere. That those are like how it should fly. The K-50 is a helicopter, it's just a completely different design. Well, yeah, it's very limited visibility in the back, but well, you can see some things. Well, of course, but helicopters are helicopters. Gonna start descending a bit because waypoint 2 is coming up, and waypoint 3 is a target waypoint, so I'd rather be a bit lower so I can take some cover behind the terrain. I fly the Tomcat too, as I said. I actually doing the Rio part quite a bit, working the weapon systems and navigation. I mean, there are a few planes that I actually would prefer being the weapon systems operator, like the F-111, the A6, but oh, the OV-10. I think somebody was going to make it, but don't take my word for it. I've seen some things around about the OV-10. Actually, one plane I would love to have, and I know it's a very stupid thing for me to say, but the A1 Skyraider. Also, there's a quite an extensive list of Russian birds that I would love to fly. Yeah, I mean the Vigan is a Cold War hands down. It's just also the Vigan is actually a great plane once you learn it. It's yeah, pretty much. That's why I like them too. Clicky clicky buttons and VCR tapes and classic equipment. But yeah, as you can see, Badger, the navigation in this is so incredibly simple. I have the INU, I have the flight plan entered in the ABRIS. Well, this is pre-made flight plan, but the point is you can get to targets very, very easily. And of course, then there's the data link, which is just amazing. If you like, flying with a group of friends with black sharks, you can mark targets and then send them to the other targets. They can then lock on and so on, and it helps a lot. The data link is it's just crazy. Which thrust vectoring do you mean? By the way, this is a helmet-mounted sight. I showed yesterday. It's a pretty cool thing. So what I can do, well, the autopilot actually helps a lot. It helps you stabilize the bird quite a bit. The whirlybird, as I call them whirlybirds because they whirly. Okay, let's start slowing down. You mean the flight director bypass? Oh yeah, on the Su-27. Yes, they did. And what do we have there? Oh, we have targets on the data link. I've activated the Squall. But I haven't designated the target yet. And I've activated the auto turn on target system. Apologies. Um, the SU. I'm not sure actually about the F-22. I'm not that familiar with it. I know it's a very scary plane, but that's about it. And it has stealth capabilities and it's very good for BVR, but that's about it. Oh yeah, with the Su-30 MKK, I think they did. Yes, you might be correct. I don't know either. And there we go. The auto hover system is on. I'm simply manually hovering it here. Now let's see if we can find any targets. Yeah, I'm gonna actually do some gunnery demonstrations with the K50 for those that interested, of course. There we go, we found some targets. And laser on. And splash. And that's pretty much like how this system works. Now we need to align the actual missile launcher with the Cheval. It's not too difficult, just rotate the helicopter. And there goes the Vickers missile, straight for the target. We've set this to work with moving targets now, so we need to keep it illuminated. Boom. I can reduce the size of the gate. or increase it. And there you go. Gunnery for the KA-50. I'm staying about 4 kilometers away and engaging multiple targets. Turning the helicopter again, I have 9 missiles left. Yeah, just get it charged anyway. Alright, I'll be here a while longer. I'm just simply demonstrating how the Vickers missiles work. And now we can survey what we've done to this convoy. Well, group of vehicles. We can try to get this one also. I'm going to center the missile pipper on the Cheval target. And launch authority achieved. And there you go. That's what's pretty much left of an AAV-7 formation that was just there for demo purposes. Of course, there are other targets as well, and I can still use the helmet mounted sight if that's what I want. That's not an issue. But yeah, that was pretty much my demonstration of the usage of the KA-50's auto hover, and yeah, I will. I definitely will. I'm gonna recage the Cheval, deactivate auto hover, route mode active, and let's go to waypoint 4. I'm gonna go straight to waypoint 5. Altitude hold set. Good to know. we are now heading happily to waypoint 5. But yeah, for an attack helicopter, I think the Ka-50 is very good for what it does. Until we get more of them, but so far this is what we have. So we have to make do. Here's a little trick. If you press, I don't know what it is on your keyboard, but if I press the A, which is an A with 2 dots on my keyboard, I can get the score. So I killed 7 vehicles out of 14. I could have gotten all of them, but the M113s are pretty dangerous, so... Yep, I'm gonna take it easy, and thanks for tuning in, Binary Badger. I will probably do more rotary wings because people seem to be interested in those, but of course there might be some fixed wing stuff coming as well. I hope you enjoy the content, and thank you for following again. Remember, if okay, so press the escape button and you should have a choose slot maybe. You might have them there. Something like this. I'll actually show you this option here. See what you have available, or if you even have this option available as well. Okay. Weird. I've never really done the Huey instant action missions. I usually just make my own missions and fly them, but my missions are very simple. I can just choose a multitude of aircraft and do all sorts of crazy things with them. You can also, of course, try the instant action on the Huey in the Caucasus map as well. Well, yeah, you should do that. One thing I have, for example, on my own, on one of my throttles, it actually has a little pinky button that you can actually push. It's the A10 throttle. I use that because Since the Huey starter button, if I remember right, is below the collective, it's kind of a trigger. I have mine there as well, so it kind of mimics the Huey's behavior. Oh, overhead view. Just press F1. F1 gets you to the cockpit. If you mean the F10 view, that should be the map. But I think you should press F1. So if you see this, if this is what you see, then just F1 and you go to the cockpit. And all is well. Apologies, it's quite late here. I just want to take this back to the boat and land her back. As I said, I don't like leaving the helicopters just floating around. And no choose slot option. Weird. Again, I haven't really tried the instant action Huey missions. Yeah, there's one thing you could try. So you could go to the main menu, choose mission, and you could have for the Huey, you should have on the left side all the different aircraft types. So you have only the Huey, you can choose a Huey there, and maybe there is a cold start mission. That one should work. Again, I haven't really done those. What I do, I just go to the mission editor, slap some planes and helicopters on a map, some targets if I want them, and then I just fly like that. By the way, Pavehawker, do you actually use any head tracking? Apologies, I get quite sleepy. Well, yeah, that's true. I would say try the mission option from the main menu and see if you have a cold start mission for the Huey there. In theory, there should be one, but I don't recall. It's been over a year and a half since I've had the Huey, so. And I've just moved on to getting myself my own missions. So, yeah.
Сто восьмой. Рубеж 29 на 500. 108. Следуйте курсом 229. Удаление 29. Давление 760,13. Посадочный 1,4. Занимайте высоту круга.
Odd. Let's see. No Nellis missions. Okay, not good. Tell you what, I'm gonna stop this helicopter here. I'll go against my own rules, and I'm gonna give you a hand. Let's see what we have, both of us have for the Huey in the main menu, since I'm happy to provide help. So here, as you can see, what I have is, if I, let's say I go pick up the Huey, let's see if I have the same issue. Might be some sort of new issue they introduced. So here's a Huey instant action. If I choose Nevada, I have Nevada free flight. This is what I have. And Caucasus, I have free flight, harbor tour, oil rig landing, target practice, ground attack easy and hard, night flight. Well, you don't have Persian Gulf in Normandy, but this is what I have for the Huey. And instant action. For missions, let's pick here the UH-1H. Yeah, these are just helicopter operations. You could always, of course, choose the helicopter operations, but these are all in the Caucasus. You should get... Okay, let me just try to help you. Let's just wait for a little... Wait a minute for this to load for me and we'll see what we can do. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. Well, let's see what we can do. And... Goddamn chair. Okay, so this is my free flight in Nevada. For me, it turned out like this. So I basically end up here at Nellis. Yeah, this is Nellis Air Force Base. So hmm. Well, I go to the map and I press F1 and I'm in a helicopter. Odd. Okay, if you go back to the main menu, let's try this. I don't know what the problem is, but let's see. Odd. So if you go to the main menu, and there's this whole list of modules here, right? You should have an icon that's highlighted for the Huey here. And you do, since you said you do, that's... Alright. It could be, Did you activate the module? It will require you to activate it once when you buy it. Okay. Yeah, it would do that. Because if it's not activated, it'll never work. I'm just thinking like off the top of my head here. Yep, that's correct. That should be fine. Now it should work. And again, Pave Hawker, if you're interested in flying together, I'm happy to have you on the stream as a guest. We can use Discord to communicate, and when we do that, of course, I will send you my Discord user ID and or access to my actual server, so you can join and we can openly discuss while flying, and we can try all sorts of things. Oh, don't worry, it crashes sometimes. Yep. That should be it. Also, my Discord link is, by the way, on my channel page, just below the video stream. You can find there a Discord link for my channel. You feel free to join, and we can still talk while I'm around here. The stream is about to be over, but at least I'm happy to say hi. Well done indeed. Yeah, it's not that difficult. Might I also recommend the Mudspike guide for the UH1? Just Google Mudspike guide for DCS UH1. Well, yeah, that's usually what it does. Also, enjoy the fully clickable cockpit. Everything works as it should. Except a couple of de-icing systems that are not implemented for some reason. But we have engine and pitot tube de-icing on a helicopter at least. Not like you're gonna need that in Nevada, but... But anyway, I think I'm going to go hit the sack. I might do another stream tomorrow. And if you're feeling brave enough, we can actually take the Hueys around for a spin. I can quickly create a mission on the NTTR map, which is the Nevada Test and Training Range, and we can try doing some flying. I've never flown formation, I don't really do multiplayer, but now I feel a bit encouraged. At least I'll have somebody who will fly a helicopter with me. How about that? No, that's good, that's good. What time zone are you in? It's almost 2 AM here. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'm happy you followed. Until the next time, well, fly safely in space and in the air. I'll see you in the next one, and everybody else who's still maybe watching, thank you for tuning in. And see you in the next one. Oh, and if you're not going to show up by Easter, if you care about the holidays, have a happy Easter and watch out for the Easter wolf if you're not badass enough. Ciao.